Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the final edition of NoDQ&A video until Elimination Chamber, which is this Sunday live on the WWE Network. NoDQ.com has got you covered with the latest news, rumors, and of course, live results coverage on Sunday. Some late breaking developments leading up to Elimination Chamber, and I got various questions here regarding Elimination Chamber and other topics from spring.me/AaronRift. Let's get started with the first one today from CM Bucks. Hey Aaron, with Rusev injured at the SmackDown tapings, do your thoughts of either Sheamus or Ziggler winning come back? Also, who do you see taking his place? I hope it's an NXT guy or maybe the return of Cody Rhodes and not Stardust. Your thoughts? K thanks bye. No, he didn't actually say K thanks bye. He just said thanks. Regarding Rusev being injured and possibly being out of Elimination Chamber, at this point, WWE has publicly acknowledged the injury and he's been pulled from live events, and word at this point is he's going to be replaced. And that really changes my prediction for the Elimination Chamber match, because I was figuring there was a decent chance of Rusev winning and perhaps there being a swerve with Lana and Ziggler, and Lana turning on Ziggler and going back with Rusev. If Rusev's completely out of the match, it's hard for me to say who is going to win. I would still go with Sheamus or Ziggler as one of the most likely choices, but it also depends on who the replacement is. Now, there's some speculation that Bray Wyatt may end up being the replacement for Rusev. I do not think Bray Wyatt should be added to that match unless he's going to win. If that's the case and Bray Wyatt is entered in the match, I would expect him to win the whole thing and win the title. I suppose it could be an NXT guy. I'm not sure who it would be exactly. Cody Rhodes as Stardust, that is an interesting possibility, but I do not see Cody Rhodes winning the IC title. So even if he was the replacement and he was himself, I still don't see him winning the title. At this point, if Rusev's not going to be in the match and Bray Wyatt is not the replacement, I think I would have to go with Sheamus as the most likely candidate to win the Chamber match. Definitely an interesting development here with Rusev possibly being out of the match, because he has been such a major part of WWE storylines over the past few weeks, and he was in various segments on Raw, and I think he was going to be a major part of that Elimination Chamber match. Definitely interesting to see what's going to happen now with that match. Got this question here from L. Cooper 87. Yo, Aaron, what did you think of the Zack Ryder versus John Cena match on Raw? Personally, I thought it was a good match. Well, I agree that it was a good match. Was it a great match? I don't think that was the case. I think it wasn't quite as strong as the John Cena versus Neville match or the John Cena versus Sami Zayn match. The problem with Cena versus Ryder is at no point during that match was I convinced that there was any chance of John Cena losing. I mean, I was watching, I'm like, okay, we all know John Cena is going to win. Let's just get this over with. It was a nice touch to have Zack Ryder be the guy to accept the challenge in his hometown in Long Island, and the crowd was just going nuts for him. I mean, this was the biggest reaction Zack Ryder has gotten on Raw in 3 years now. It's really been a while, and Zack Ryder, for one night, felt like a star again. But it wasn't meant to be for him to defeat John Cena, and there would have been no good reason for Zack Ryder out of nowhere to just come in and beat John Cena when the company hasn't invested anything in him. Would have been nice for them to invest something in him years ago, but they chose not to do that, and it is what it is. But for one night, it was cool to see Zack Ryder get back in the mix and have a good match on Raw with John Cena. This one comes from Noel804. What's up, Aaron? What were your thoughts on the Ring of Honor TV deal announcement with Destination America? And how do you feel this will affect the TNA wrestling promotion? I've gotten a bunch of questions regarding this Destination America Ring of Honor story. So I'll get to one question at a time here. First off, the topic about TNA and what's going to happen with TNA. Is this the final nail in the coffin for TNA wrestling? Is Destination America bringing in Ring of Honor as a replacement for TNA, and that's the eventual plan, is to phase out TNA and focus on Ring of Honor as the main promotion? Here is what I've gathered from the situation. The plan right now is for Ring of Honor to have their syndicated television show air on Destination America. And because of that, it's going to be cheaper for Destination America. It's cheaper programming than TNA wrestling. And I talked about in the breaking news video about the advertising. You know, that's been the major report, that the advertisers do not want to spend money to have their ads on TNA programming, and that's one of the major reasons why Destination America wants to drop TNA. And with Ring of Honor, it's different because it's cheaper programming, and perhaps people feel that the Ring of Honor brand is stronger than TNA at this point. And I've talked about in previous videos over the past year or two how the TNA brand is so damaged. I could have told Destination America a year ago picking up TNA is a bad idea because the TNA brand really has very little value at this point. And I'm not trying to be anti-TNA and be pro-WWE, as some people out there might like to claim. It is what it is. TNA as a brand is severely damaged. They were in bad shape a year ago. When you have stars like Kurt Angle, Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy, MVP, and you go to these venues and you cannot even draw 500 people, something is severely wrong with your brand. And Ring of Honor, they're not huge. They're not a huge brand, but Ring of Honor has a very strong cult following. And I got this question here from Derek J, 1993. Hey Aaron, I'm glad that Ring of Honor finally has a TV deal, but at the same time, I'm concerned that not many people will watch it because not everybody has Destination America. Do you think that this will hurt Ring of Honor? Please answer in video. Well, first off, I do not think it will hurt Ring of Honor. Any kind of expansion and any type of situation where you can get more eyeballs watching your product is a positive. This is definitely a positive for Ring of Honor, but to what degree is the question? Because let's face it, this does not change the fact that I do not have Destination America. A lot of people I know don't have Destination America. It is a network that for many people you have to have the higher tiered package in order to get that network. But there are going to be people that will be watching Ring of Honor that have never been exposed to it. It's going to create more awareness for Ring of Honor, and that's good for them. This is very good for them. It's not quite as good as having a deal like, say, Spike TV or a network that most people have, but it's still a step in the right direction. This combined with the syndication that they already have, many feel at this point Ring of Honor is the #2 wrestling promotion in the United States in terms of overall viewership compared to TNA. But then again, TNA also has international television. So it's really a toss-up right now. But this is a huge positive for Ring of Honor. And I got another question here from LD Evans 1985. We got Russo'd. People assumed Destination America was going to cancel TNA, but could the ROH deal turn out to be good for TNA? Does ROH deal mean that Destination America is happy with the ratings and stigma of wrestling and won't cancel TNA? Unless ROH replaces TNA a la Raw, ECW, TNN. Luke from Korea. Well, if this is not necessarily good for TNA, who knows? It could be. There could be a unique situation here. I mean, this is really uncharted waters where you have two rival promotions, and they are rival promotions, going back-to-back on Wednesday night in prime time. For all we know, this could light a fire under the people in TNA, and they might produce better television. Maybe this will create a mini boom. I mean, who knows? When the Monday Night War started, nobody really knew for sure what would happen, and as it turned out, you got more people interested in wrestling and more people tuning in to watch wrestling. that could be the situation here, because the announcement of Destination America signing Ring of Honor, that got a lot of buzz. It trended worldwide on Twitter. A lot of people are talking about it, and maybe we'll have more people tuning in. Maybe the ratings will go up. I mean, it's a possibility that, you know, if the ratings are good for both Ring of Honor and TNA TNA's ratings actually go up as a result of this, maybe Destination America will not cancel TNA, and, you know, it'll boost up the advertising revenue. Advertisers want to spend money. It could change the game. That's definitely a possibility. It's not necessarily a death blow to TNA. But then again, if Ring of Honor does good ratings and TNA's ratings don't move at all, Destination America may feel, well, you know, Ring of Honor is cheaper programming. We're just going to go with Ring of Honor, and so what? So much for TNA, you know? That could be the situation, and time will tell. It's going to be very interesting to see what the ratings are for this first week with Ring of Honor and TNA. You know, anything can happen. All right, moving on here away from that subject. Got this one from A-Train220. Here, with WWE building up their roster, do you see another brand extension in the future? This is one of those questions, along with, will John Morrison return to WWE? I get these questions every so often, every couple months. And at this point, I don't think it's going to happen. Would I like to see it happen? Absolutely. I miss the brand extension, and I think it helps the WWE landscape in the sense where you're not seeing all these guys constantly, and they're not becoming overexposed, you know? When John Cena is on Raw and then he's on SmackDown, same thing with Randy Orton. When all these guys are on every show every single week, you know, it just gets old after a while. And that was the one big positive about the brand extension, is you only saw a certain guy once a week and not twice a week. And, you know, if NXT really continues to build momentum, maybe WWE will consider a brand extension. But for the time being, I don't see WWE separating the world title and the WWE title again and doing stuff like that. So I think it's unlikely we'll see a brand extension anytime in the near future, but who knows? Never say never, I guess. All right, got this one from Glass Cloud. Here, with the recent praise of the women in NXT headlining live events and many people saying Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks at TakeOver is a match of the year contender, do you think that the women's title should headline a future TakeOver special? Absolutely. I think that that would be a tremendous idea, and that would do even more to boost the women's division in NXT, and possibly get WWE and the main roster people more motivated and more determined to push the WWE Divas division on the main roster. So I would definitely love to see that happen and have the women actually main event, and they're fully capable of being in the main event and stealing the show and making a difference. So why not? Why not change it up? I would definitely do that at some point for a future TakeOver special. All right, last question here from Punjay93 UK. Hey, Aaron, on NoDQ&A episode number 636, you mentioned about Rollins versus Triple H and a Triple H face turn. The issue is that that would probably scupper a Triple H and Stephanie versus The Rock and Ronda Rousey match at WrestleMania 32. Is there a way to do both of these scenarios? Well, first of all, regarding Ronda Rousey, I mean, at this point, I think it's a long shot that she does WrestleMania 32. It just seems like between her fighting in UFC and having movie roles and having other things going on in her life, the odds are against her, I think, doing WrestleMania 32. But let's say, for argument's sake, that she's available and she can do WrestleMania 32. You can always, if you're going to turn Triple H face, and I think that should happen at this point anyways. I think the authority angle is very much played out. You could, I guess, turn Triple H heel for one match, for one show, and have him and Stephanie against The Rock and Ronda Rousey. But for that to happen, you really have to have all the stars aligning. And right now, it just looks like that's probably not in the cards. But regardless of what happens, I still think WWE should go forward with a Triple H Seth Rollins feud and turn Triple H face. That's just my opinion on it, what I would like to see happen, because I'm tired of the Authority as a heel group, and I think it just needs to end. So that'll do it for this edition of NoDQ&A video. Thanks as always for watching. Subscribe, youtube.com/NoDQCAW. Check out all the other videos from myself, Mike Nagel, Jeff Meacham, Wayne Needham, and Noah Donish. And on that note, I will see you guys next time for more.